Hello, everyone, and welcome to the University of Illinois Service of Gratitude. I want to thank you all for being here today with me and honoring our donors and their families who have so graciously donated for the advancement of our medical education and research as a whole. Today, we will have various performances being speeches, poetry, and musical performances from students at all three campuses. I would like to introduce Matthew Grammer and Nicholas Shea, who will be performing The Swan for us. Thank you, Matthew and Nicholas. So as I said, we will be moving in through a variation of poems, speeches, musical performances to honor those and their families that have donated so graciously to our medical school. I want to introduce Dr. Soltesz, who will be giving us a speech and opening up our ceremony.
Good afternoon. Today, we recognize those individuals who graciously donated their bodies for medical education. When you first entered the lab this past January, your first exposure to these individuals was probably an emotional, visceral one, as you were confronted with the donor bodies that were not so long ago living, breathing individuals. Quickly, those feelings may have faded as you focused on the study of anatomy. You spent many hours with these individuals, dissecting, identifying nerves and vessels, studying the details of organs and muscles, and forming an appreciation of the human body and its variations that you can't see when studying books or figures or models or animations. The study of these individuals afforded you an opportunity to understand the body as a working unit. Images were created in your minds beyond what memorizing structures from a list could offer. It's hoped that even beyond this time you had in the lab, the images that you have taken with you will continue to help you understand the human body. Beyond the details of anatomy, the time spent in the lab with each other and with your instructors provided a rather unique social experience, both for you and for us as your instructors. One of the things I most enjoy about my job is time spent working in the lab with you. This time was an opportunity for you to develop camaraderie, skills at working as a team member, and a sense of professionalism. During the hours, days, weeks, months that you spent in the lab, it was easy to lose sight of the fact that the donors were individuals with lives, many of them very long lives. They had parents, possibly sons and daughters, brothers and sisters, friends and partners. They had personalities and loves. They had public lives and secrets. Your future patients will have all of these things beyond the signs and symptoms that they present to you. Years ago, I was privileged to work with individuals who had decided to donate their bodies to medical education. During the process of helping them with their paperwork, they would invariably tell me that they wanted to help the young people, the young doctors. I always assured them that they would definitely help the young doctors. The lives of these donors were extended when they became, in no small way, teachers. In the future, when you think of your experience in the anatomy lab, remember those who wanted to help the young doctors. They made a most generous gift, and for that, we express our most sincere gratitude.
Thank you, Dr. Soltis. And to further express our gratitude, I would like everyone to take a moment of silence with me right now. Thank you. Many times, particularly throughout the pandemic, we have found ourselves glued to viewing our devices and focusing on what we visually see. You will notice that the next song does not have a video associated with it. Matthew Grande chose to keep the screen blank and just play his recording as a means of taking pause, giving our eyes rest, and just listening. Matthew will be performing To Be Loved by Adele.
I built a house for love to grow. I was so young that it was hard to know. I'm as lost now as I was back then. Always make a mess of everything. It's about time that I face myself. All I do is bleed into someone painting walls with all my secret tears, filling rooms with all my hopes and fears. But oh my, I'll never learn if I never leap. I'll always yearn if I never speak. To be loved and love at the highest count me to lose all the things I can't live without. Let it be known that I will choose to lose. It's a sacrifice, but I can't live a lie. Let it be known, let it be known that I tried.
Thank you, Matthew. Next up, we have a speech prepared by Carissa Carroll from Peoria.
Thank you. Those words seem so small in the grand scheme of what you gave us. We may have never met before this, but there will always be a special place in our hearts and minds for you all as our first patients and teachers of medical school. We experienced so much growth during our time together, growth that is unmeasurable by exams, assignments, or rubrics. Our knowledge, skill, and deductive reasoning multiplied exponentially, yes, but most importantly, our empathy, respect, and compassion did as well. That first day will forever be etched in our minds. Half of us were nervous, some were pretending they weren't, and others had experienced something like this before, so they were somewhat confident. But despite all of that, there was still so much uncertainty in whether we were ready for the task that we had been given. But you assured us at every step of the way that we were. Your ultimate donation showed that you trusted us as future physicians, so we needed to do the same. That is why the class of 2024 at Peoria would like to express our deepest gratitude and appreciation to our donors and their families for helping to further the advancement of medical science by partaking in the training of its future practitioners. As we honor you and your families today, we hope that we have made you proud and that we are fully equipped to carry on the weight of the legacy that you have left behind. One of generosity, selflessness, and a never-ending spirit. People like our donors and their families help to keep the flame of hope and humanity burning strong in our hearts and the world. And though I said it earlier that thank you will never be enough, nonetheless, that is all that I can say. So from the bottom of our hearts, thank you.
Thank you, Carissa. And next we have Chris Torlone from Chicago performing Hallelujah.
Well, I heard that there's a secret chord that David played and it pleased the Lord, but you don't really care for music, do ya? it goes like this: the fourth, the fifth, the minor fall and the major lift, the baffled king composing hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Well, darling, I've been here before. I've seen these rooms and I've walked this floor. You know, I used to live alone before I knew ya. And I've seen your flag on the marble arch. Love is not a victory march. It's a cold and it's a broken hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Well, there was a time when you let me know what's really going on below, but now you never show it to me, do ya? I remember when I moved in you, the holy dove was moving too, and every breath you drew was hallelujah. It was hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Well, maybe there's a God above, but all I ever learned from love was how to shoot somebody who outdrew you. And it's not a cry that you hear at night. It's not somebody who's seen the light. It's a cold and it's a broken hallelujah, 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 hey, hallelujah.
Thank you, Chris. Up next, we have Amanda Reinhart from Rockford. I'm so sorry. Amanda Reinhart from Rockford, who is performing her original piece, Gratitude in Beginnings.
Thank you so much, Alexandra. So let me start with my poem. A sea of scrubs buried under freshly white coats as we wait for the door. Nervous energy thrums through the hall on our first day, anticipation tempered by worry. Will I mess this up? Will I even know what I'm seeing? Will I even know what I'm doing? Doors are opened, introductions made, rules established, as we're quickly ushered in, and we're immediately greeted by several identical tables, identical bags holding identical contents. A collective breath is held as we proceed to set up our tables. For so many of us, this was our first time, our first glance of death outside of fleeting glances at family funerals. There's nothing fleeting about this. These aren't the textbook models of our prior medical classes, drawn clearly and cleanly, lacking the marks of a life lived. We now get to see the scars and stories that make each of us imperfectly human. Imperfect skin, imperfect organs, imperfect anatomy. These men and women were not drawings. They lived, and they shared what was left after that life with us so that we could learn. Because of their generosity, a future surgeon got their first chance to sharpen their skills. A future neurologist got their first glimpse of neuroanatomy. A future gastroenterologist got to explore the GI tract, and an entire class got to learn how to listen and to appreciate the stories of others. even when the patient can't voice it themselves. This day was the first of the rest of our lives, and the knowledge we gained from these men and women will inform every decision of our careers. And there's only one response that would be appropriate in lieu of such a gift. Thank you.
Thank you, Amanda. Up next, we have the Chicago Ensemble performing Water theme from Water Music and Ode to Joy. The ensemble consists of Isabel Scharf, Ramses Padilla, Anna Stodaker, Crystal Scott, Alondra Diaz, Omar Lopez, Monica Stochkuta, Amanda Lian, Yashoda Naranian, and Yuja Wang. Thank you, everyone. Up next, we have a speech by Sydney White from Rockford.
Thank you, Alexandra. It is my honor to represent the class of 2024 here at Rockford in expressing our gratitude to the donors and their family for their gift in furthering medical education and research. I know I cannot speak for everyone, but I learn best from stories. Textbooks can put me to sleep, and sometimes I feel my eyes glaze over when I spend late nights studying. But stories captivate me, challenge me, and inspire me. In medicine, the stories of our patients will educate us and push us to do better. The stories of the donors shared with us through the experience of Anatomy Lab provide us with an invaluable opportunity to learn, and we are so grateful to honor them today. When I had my first Anatomy Lab, truthfully, I was excited but hesitant. Someone had provided me an opportunity so precious to further my medical education. Could I ever live up to it? As much as I studied and prepared, I couldn't remember the name of every nerve and artery. The donors provided the opportunity to think through concepts I found challenging in the classroom and solidify them by seeing how they would look on a person. By working and learning from my brilliant classmates to observe different structures, I grew in my professional communication skills. Our donors' lives told a story, and we were eager listeners, ready to learn. Their story was cherished, a shift from our standard curriculum, which condenses everything we need to know into isolated organ systems. We blazed through anatomy, physiology, pathology, and pharmacology. Yet the story of the donor was the confluence of these processes, the story of life and ultimately of disease that we will encounter endlessly in our future as physicians. Importantly, I learned about the appreciation of humanity from the donor's story. Although I had an intimate knowledge of the donors, it was very different from how the donors' loved ones knew them. I will never know what made them laugh, smile at the highs and lows of their lives. So to bridge that gap in intimacy, my partner and I made the decision to conclude every lab by telling our donor, "Thank you." I want to carry this practice with me, always looking to create moments of connection, especially when it may feel difficult to do so. I want to take time not only to thank the donors, but their loved ones who are with us today. Thank you. The gift your loved ones graced myself and my classmates with holds infinite value and knowledge, not just in our studies, but the rest of our careers. Also know your support of that gift is fundamental in shaping our education. Medicine is a demanding profession. It demands a lot, not only of those who are learning, but those who are teaching. I am constantly amazed at the gifts of the mentors, teachers, and ancestors which support me. I can only hope to use those gifts to be of service to my community in the future as a competent and caring physician. Thank you.
And last but certainly not least, we have an original narrative poem that will be performed by Kai and Sarah on the Chicago campus.
I think there's a famous quote found in our textbook. It says, "Blood can circulate forever if you keep on donating it." I think the same can be said for grace and knowledge. Sarah and I have composed 2 narrative poems combined into one that describe our experiences with the donors.
We think the themes we touch on largely reflect the sentiments shared by many of our classmates: trust, intimacy, and a profound appreciation of the donors and their families. We hope these words resonate.
I was nervous to touch your tissue, to move it, to familiarize myself with your limbs, to hold the capsule that experienced your life.
The room was cold, but you existed fully, warmly. The lights are harsh and sterile, but you shone brightly, messily.
Did your heart skip beats when you were with your first love? Did your skin soak up the warm sunlight? Peeling back the layers, salt of the earth, and opening into your world.
Take a look at your gorgeous nails. Lavender lacquer makes me wonder who took the time to paint within the bounds of your cuticles, gingerly spreading painstaking stains. I hope this color was your favorite.
My old man told me to bow before in every dissection. So I too gently leaned over as we cleaned up. After life, you found a way to serve others, eternally grateful.
Your bare hands held so many people. Your bare hugs are remembered still. I am in awe of all the muscles that are able to bring a smile to another.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kai and Sarah. And lastly, we will have Dean Rosenblatt give a speech, and we will move into the close of the ceremony.
Thank you so much for inviting me to take part in the service of gratitude. And many thanks to all who have joined us virtually. This is always a very special event filled with a variety of emotions, especially an abundance of regard and respect for our donors and their families. We know that the journey to becoming a physician is an arduous path. Along those paths, we face myriad opportunities that afford us experiences most others will never have. A physician will never forget the first time they save a life, and they will forever remember the first time they lose a patient who came to them seeking care. As physicians, we welcome life into the world, delivering babies and sharing moments of immeasurable joy with families and new parents. But we also share the sad and certainly difficult news of a life-changing diagnosis or the passing of a loved one. Our College of Medicine Gross Anatomy course is a key to the entry into this very special and unique educational experience. The course sets the foundations for the excellent physicians that each of our students will become in the future. I'll again share the story of my first day in the anatomy lab and the tremendously powerful realization of what I was beginning. Donors are individuals with complex life stories, and there are many things about the donor who made my journey possible that I never knew, but I did know a few important things. I knew she was 76 years old. I knew she had passed away from coronary artery disease. Most importantly, I knew she was a teacher. But what I truly knew and understood very clearly, along with my classmates, was that the most generous final gift from this teacher was absolutely amazing. I cannot remember every detail of the dissection. I certainly can't remember all of the origins and insertions we memorized during the class. But I do remember that the reverence I felt for this donor never waned during the class, nor has it ever left me in the years that have followed. My hope is that each of you keeps in your mind your gratitude for this generous gift that is bestowed upon you through our College of Medicine Gross Anatomy course. I hope that you also remember the honor and privilege given to us as physicians, and all the gifts that medicine will grant you over the coming years, years in which you will provide outstanding and compassionate care to the patients you treat. Lastly, I share my thanks with the donors, their families, and their friends for this extraordinary and very generous gift. Thank you to the dedicated faculty who train our students, and thank you to our remarkable students in the College of Medicine, as well as the family and friends of these students joining us virtually today. Your support for these future physicians as they go through a very challenging but rewarding time of training is crucial to their future excellence. Best wishes to you all.
Thank you, Dean Rosenblatt. First and foremost, we cannot thank our donors and their families enough for their gracious donation and contribution to the advancement of medical education and the future of medicine. Thank you all for joining me in honoring and expressing our gratitude for their generous donations. Thank you all for your time and attention today. Please feel free to sign off as soft piano is played for the outro.